Sharpe has traveled the country and has personally visited every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe here on Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL Rochester, New York. So happy that you are here with me this afternoon. Another awesome Tuesday. You can call in if you want to. Please call in after the first commercial break. 585-346-3000 is the number to chat with me. I do want to tell you a bit of a story I thought about because of what's happening again here in the city. And I know recently, these last couple of weeks, I've been speaking a lot about New York City. I know I have. But I do it because it does affect the state and it affects the entire country with the shenanigans. How about that? Is it a good word? Shenanigans that's happening here in New York City. And the newest thing is congestion pricing. Now, some of you may not know what that is, but I remember as a little kid, probably 7 or 8 years old in that area, elementary school. I grew up in the Bronx. And my parents used to take me across the border into Westchester, into Yonkers, to shop. I didn't know why. There were stores in the Bronx. Why did we go there? I remember how cool it was back in the 70s to go to Macy's in Manhattan. That was a cool thing to do. Let's go to Macy's in Manhattan, right? That was cool. No. Going to Yonkers. Westchester. Why? I didn't get why. I was like a kid. Later, I got it. Taxes. That was the reason. It was cheaper to shop in Yonkers than it was to shop in New York City. Now, again, we lived in New York City, but we wouldn't shop in New York City. We shopped outside the city because it was cheaper. Huh. That was weird to me, but I get it now. I couldn't go to cool Macy's when I was a kid. And then I remember when my father finally figured out having the coolest car in the neighborhood wasn't the most important thing. Took him time to figure that one out, but he did eventually. And when he did figure it out, we got a station wagon. And I remember this station wagon because it was the typical, if you can imagine, 70s, the wood panel. Yes, exactly the stereotype you were thinking. That's what we had. But what stood out to me was the license plate. The license plate was a Pennsylvania license plate. Now, as I just told you, we live in New York City. So why would I have a Pennsylvania license plate? What? I didn't get it. Well, I knew that we had family in Pennsylvania. I think it was my father's sister. I forgot actually. No, cousin. Sorry, cousin. My father's cousin lived in Pennsylvania. And I didn't get it. I was like, is this their car? He's like, no, it's mine. What? I didn't get it. Later, I got it. He registered at their address because it was cheaper, either through insurance or whatever registration, whatever the case may be. So we literally had a car that was in the Bronx that had Pennsylvania license plates. We lived in New York City and we traveled across the border to Westchester to shop. Wow. And now what do I hear? Congestion pricing. And the pricing, for those who don't know, means that if you want to come into Manhattan, 60th Street or below, you will have to pay somewhere between $9 and $23. Now, the cross of George Washington Bridge to come into Manhattan is already like $13, $14. So yeah, throw on top of that $9 to $23 to come down there. What do you think is going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm confused. What's going to happen? Nothing but problems. This is their answer. Congestion. Punish people for coming to Manhattan. What do I want to do to make money in New York City. I want people to come to Manhattan. Literally, that is where New York City makes money. Tourism, finance, culture. Come to Manhattan. You've heard me say it more than once. Please come visit my city. It's a wonderful place to visit. You probably don't want to live here. I don't want to live here. So you probably don't want to live here either. But visiting is amazing. It's great to visit here. So what are we going to do? Make it harder to visit. Literally the most important thing for New York City is people coming to visit. And we, in our genius, are going to do that. Now you might say, Larry, why do I care? I don't live in New York City. That's your crazy city. That's true. It is my crazy city. You're accurate. I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I'm just saying it does affect you on an unimportant and an important way. I shouldn't say that's the wrong way. A critical way and a non-critical way. In a non-critical way. Now there's a less chance you're going to come and enjoy New York City. Whatever your chances were, now it's lower. And I think people should come and enjoy New York City to visit. I do believe that in my heart. And that's going to lower whatever chance I had of getting you here. That now it's even lower. That's not what I want. And that's not that critical. But here's the critical part. As New York City fails, New York State fails. As New York City fails, the largest city in the country fails. The nation fails. And you might not believe that. You are wrong. If New York City fails, the entire country feels it. If New York City fails, the state feels it. This city, you don't want it to fail. There will be a ripple effect everywhere because other cities will copy. Other cities will take our refugees because there will be refugees. That's going to happen. You don't want that. And that's going to wind up happening. You must say, Larry, is it really going to be that bad? It is, but not just for people in the city. Obviously, for our people in the city, it is. Because what does it mean? It means all of a sudden now there's going to be a bunch of for-hire cars, right? Taxis and Ubers, even more than there are now. And who uses those? People who have money. So as always, you got cash, you'll be fine. Boy, that's never happened before. Yeah, you've got cash, you'll be fine. You don't have cash, you're in trouble. You will be forced to use the MTA. You'll be forced to use subway and buses, which suck, in case you didn't know that. I think you knew that, though. But they suck. So let's see. Why are we doing this? Because the alternative is to fix the MTA. And we don't want to do that. So instead, we'll punish people. We'll punish more people. But of course, it'll be somewhere between $9 and $23, but there will be exemptions. Of course there will be. Because we always have to have room for our cronies and our political friends. Have to have room for that, of course. So what's going to happen? As the people who are the cool people, which would be government employees and those who are friends of government employees, they'll come in with no problem. But the average person, hammered. Here's the bigger question. How are you going to enforce that? You'll put a gate on every street corner? Cops now? Flagging people down? Chasing you down in the streets? Writing out more tickets? Yes, that's what will happen. 100%. Cops, more tickets. Absolutely. So now we're going to, in a city that has a violence problem, we're going to take cops who should be getting bad guys and now have them, yet again, a profit center. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I'd rather have cops getting bad guys versus cops, yet again, becoming a profit center. That is what's going to happen. More and more of that. Or they can do the camera thing. Well, now a camera on every block to make sure the bad people are paying their fair share. Absolutely. Are they going to track us? Is that going to happen? But I know what you're saying. Larry, we have to have less cars because pollution and stuff. That's the reason. Who says there'll be less cars? They say, okay, who's going to make up for those cars? Uber, Via, taxis? Nope, same amount of cars. People don't deal with it anyway. Or less people will come in. And yes, in that case, you're right. If you have less people in Manhattan, you will have less pollution. That's true. You'll also have no taxes in a broken MTA system and a city that will become a deserted ghost town. you'll have that too. So it's true. If there's no people, it's not much pollution. You're right on that one. Not sure I want to go there, though. This is a bigger problem that people aren't getting. Larry, you don't understand. I know someone's saying this right now, particularly if you listen from New York City. This is how we fund the MTA. We're going to raise $1 billion and we're going to fix the MTA. Boy, I heard that one before. We're going to fix the MTA off the back of the working poor and the middle class. That's worked before. If I take away every single time, it's always worked. Yeah, if you don't count every single time it's been tried, it's worked. You're right. With a minor exception of every single time. It never works, but we still do it again and again and again. But here is the worst of it all. New Jersey is benefiting. New Jersey is literally putting billboards on the tunnel areas saying, why are you working here? Work in Jersey. Why are you living in Manhattan? Come live in Jersey. There's no congestion pricing and no congestion. Are you telling me people aren't going to do that? Of course they will. They're going to pack up and they're going to move to Jersey. They're already leaving the city. So now I'm going to have businesses leave, people who work leave. The bridge is going to be trashed. Why? The George Washington Bridge is $13 to cross, but it's above 60th Street. So Lincoln Tunnel and Holland Tunnel are less than that, but they're below 60th Street. So, I'm pushing everybody into the most expensive bridge, and that bridge is already trashed. Now it's worse. This is bad, bad, and bad because nobody wants to fix the MTA. But who does have a plan for the MTA? You're listening to them. I've been talking about it forever. I'll cover that, plus your calls, and also the chat after the break. Larry Sharpe, WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio, back after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families. Try something different in 2023. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience, entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Okay, we have Keith on the line.
On the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio, 585-346-3000. I've been yapping about this congestion pricing here in New York City, which is just making things worse, driving me crazy, and it's going to affect the rest of the state and the rest of the nation if we don't get this right. It is really a problem. Let me grab a call if I could. I'm talking with Keith. How are you, sir?
You stated correctly that when certainly the big cities are hurting, it hurts the entire state, but it's more elementary than that. The Biden administration is
Got another call
trying
on
to
hold.
hurt the entire country. Here's another definition of congestion pricing. In Newburgh, New York, which is the mid-Hudson Valley area, several different families wanted to have wedding parties at a hotel, only to find out that everything is being canceled for them because all of the rooms are going to be taken up by illegals. So probably the government, the feds, are paying the hotel a higher rate to take in the illegals than what they would have made off of actual American citizens. So when you have the government actually working against the people, everything you're talking about falls way down to the bottom of the totem pole. The feds control much of the action.
Yeah.
And when they take over and it's made plain that actual American citizens become second, third, and fourth class to illegals, and they're not immigrants, everyone, they're illegals. They don't belong in our country. It's our country, not the illegals. When Biden insists on ushering all of these illegals into the country, many by night and most surreptitiously, without us knowing it, we have no say in where they
Let me grab
live.
this piece, Keith. You bring up a very valid point, and there's a secondary piece to this too, right? We bring in these people into these hotels, as you said, and it's absolutely happening. It's not only disrupting weddings, it is, but it's also disrupting American homeless people, them also, right? So they're also displacing people who are homeless on top of it. And now, because you're right, the federal government is dropping a bunch of cash, well, that raises the prices of all the other places. So even if this wedding party is able to find another hotel, assuming they are, it's going to be higher price than it was in that one. So they get a different date, probably because they've been screwed over. They've got to pay more, and they're getting a different place, probably not the place they wanted. All because the federal government says, well, I got dollars. I'm going to decide that these immigrants are more important, migrants are more important than you, and I'm going to throw dollars at it. This always becomes a dollar. This literally, the illegal immigrant issue here, and Keith, I think you know this, this has become an immigrant industrial complex. This is a way of people making cash off of this. There's a homeless industrial complex here in New York City. They're making money on that. And now there's becoming an immigrant industrial complex. You are correct. And the people getting punished are the average people who want to have a wedding or who want to go on vacation, or whatever the case may be. Because again, even if they can find another hotel, the price is raised. I think you're right.
In closing, those federal dollars, that's not the Fed's money, that's taxpayers' money.
Good point.
Without taxpayers, the Feds don't have any money at all. And I want to ask everyone, really in closing, what kind of country kicks out homeless vets, people who fought for our country's even very survival? For me to say it that way, the vets get kicked out, so illegals come in and take their place. I'm asking, where's the outrage that homeless veterans get kicked out like that, just so that people who really do not belong here can come in? That is most unfair and very immoral.
Thank you for your call, Keith. I appreciate that. I want to talk about what Keith is talking about. The one part he brought up, which was the idea of in the middle of the night and such. I don't know if it's actually done in the middle of the night or not. That I'm actually unaware of. I mean, maybe it's possible. I'm not saying Keith is wrong. I don't know. But what I am going to say is his other point is valid regardless, because even if it isn't done in the night physically, it is done in the night theoretically, meaning that people don't talk about it. It is rare for people to speak about that actually happening.
Hunter, California.
But just challenging to find. So I'm grabbing the call if I can. I'm going to grab Hunter. How are you doing?
Hi, Larry. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to have a small segue, if that's all right.
No, please go ahead.
Are you familiar with a person on YouTube named Gonzalo Lira? He had a show called The Round Table where he had many different guests talking about current events and geopolitics.
I don't think so. What's his name again?
Gonzalo Lira. But let me get to my point. Recently, he was arrested because he lives in Kharkov, Ukraine, and he was arrested by the SBU, which is the Ukrainian secret police, kind of like our FBI.
Sounds terrible.
And this is for speaking honestly about the tragedy that is the Ukraine war.
Wow.
First, I wanted to bring that attention to the public about that. And next, one of his frequent guests rather, is Brian Berletic. He runs the New Atlas on YouTube, and he's a former Marine like yourself. I think it would be very good if there was a possibility that you could have him on your show or the other way around. It would be very informative for both you and your audience.
I love the idea. Are you on Twitter? Hunter, are you on Twitter?
No, I don't use social media.
Oh, so how am I going to know who I'm supposed to be talking to? What's the guy's name again?
Brian Berletic. Oh, he has the YouTube channel, The New Atlas.
The New Atlas. Okay. I will reach out. I appreciate the idea.
Okay, thank you very much.
There we go. Easy day. I may have a new guest. Awesome. I love that. So I do want to go back to what I was talking about, in addition, what Keith was talking about, which is the idea that if the cities begin to fail, the rest of the country begins to fail, the rest of the state begins to fail. Because his point of the putting people in the Mid-Hudson Valley, those people are coming from New York City. That's where they're coming from. So now outside the city, you're paying. So obviously, everyone winds up paying for this. We do want to fix it. I talked about it. If you remember, I discussed this literally years ago. Larry, we got to fix the MTA. Too many people in the MTA, all kind of problem. Yes, I brought it up. I said, at night, the MTA should allow freight to come into New York City. Changing everything over at night into, for those who don't know, if you in New York City, about every other train or so runs middle of the night because there aren't many people there. Great. So make every other train a freight train instead. Now freight comes in. Larry, it's not going to work because the tracks are not good for freight. You're right. That means that places like Google and Amazon and FedEx and UPS, they'll have to fix it so they can move their goods, won't they? And they will. Larry, that will cost billions of dollars. Each of those companies has a marketing budget in the billions. That's just marketing. They could easily repair that within a year. Within a year, we have a new MTA, freight coming in at night. What does that mean? Now we have a new MTA. They also have to lease out the tracks. Money going to the MTA, right? Now, money's going to the MTA, new MTA, freight coming in. As freight comes in on the train lines, less trucks coming into the city. If trucks aren't coming to the city, less traffic and congestion and pollution in the city. Duh! Literally, cuts all of it. Less traffic, less pollution, less congestion. And a brand new subway that's cheaper. Well, then how do we fund it? I have an idea. Instead of us having congestion pricing, why don't we instead lease the naming rights to our bridges? So now, instead of being the Triborough Bridge or the RFK Bridge, now it's the Google Bridge, or it's the, I don't know, the 3M Bridge, whatever, the Barclays Bank Bridge, I don't care, whatever, it's that bridge. They pay us $100 million a year for that bridge. That money goes to the MTA. Now I'm fixing the MTA. I'm fixing the bridges. No tolls. So the working poor and middle class don't get punished. So owner-operator truck drivers don't get punished. People can come into the city if they want to with a better MTA system. If the MTA system was better, there wouldn't be as many cars. People drive because they don't want to be on the subway. People Uber because they don't want to be on the subway. That's why they do it. Imagine if there was an effective, nice, and clean subway. But Larry, why would these companies do that? Because they care about their freight. They may not care about you and me. They don't. They do care about their freight. They'll make that nice, so everything will be nicer. Yes, I'm not crazy. If you think I am, you can call 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL Rochester, New York. Back with your calls. And I promise the chat is exploding. I'll get back to the chat after the break.
For truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll see clearing skies out there, a little bit chillier. We'll drop into the upper 30s and low 40s. On Wednesday, a drastically cooler day, even with a lot of sunshine. Only in the low 50s with a wind out of the north. Could be frosty Wednesday night, Thursday morning, down well into the 30s, but we bounce back Thursday afternoon, 60s, back into the 70s Friday. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
Spring savings and selection are everywhere at the all-new Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram 6484 Route 96 in Victor. Try these deals. Choose from 10 2023 Grand Cherokee L4x4s, 20% off overland models. Lease a 2023 Jeep Compass in bright white clear coat, only $399 a month for 42 months with $3,000 down.
Okay, we got Roger from Nassau.
Crew Cab Bighorn 4x4 pickup in
Nassau County, that is.
$429 a month for 42 months with $3,500 down.
And that Hunter was from California, FYI.
A month for 36 months with $3,500 down. All these deals require first payment. DMV taxes and fees due at signing. Other conditions may apply. See dealer for details. We welcome Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and Finger Lakes. The selection's great, and they're ready with your deal at the most beautiful new vehicle sales and service dealership in the area. Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, now at 6484 Route 96, just east of Victor.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Memorial Day is on the way. At Springwater Amish Workshop, check the selection of yellow pressure-treated pine picnic tables, along with a wide range of chairs, swings, gliders, and swivel gliders. And 4th of July is coming too. Don't see what you want in stock? Springwater Amish Workshop can order the perfect item in time for your holiday celebrations. Poly chairs, tables, Adirondack chairs, great for deck or patio. They're weatherproof, so they stay functional and beautiful. Plan your outdoor living with your choice of poly tables, chairs, balcony settees, or tete-a-tetes. Shop the big selection of hickory rocking chairs, double rockers, and gliders. They'll look pretty on your porch. Your yard is the place for a windmill, wishing well, or lighthouse. Many sizes in stock. The construction quality of outdoor buildings beats any competitor. You can pay on delivery for any building, no down payment necessary. Or rent to own, ask for details. Springwater Amish Workshop, 7936 Mill Street, Route 15, Springwater. Open Monday through Friday 9 to 5, Saturdays 9 to 3, SpringwaterAmishWorkshop.com.
WYSL.
Looking for rewarding work with a growing local company? Apply at C-Rec Disposal. Want great working conditions, top pay, and benefits? Apply at C-Rec Disposal. C-Rec Disposal has openings for fleet mechanics and drivers at Rochester's fastest growing disposal service. C-Rec Disposal is family owned and takes pride in their staff of professionals. You could be one of them. Join a quality team. Mechanics and drivers, call or send your resume. Grow with C-Rec. Call 585-720-0978. 585-720-0978. SEYREK disposal.com.
Atención madres nuevas y en espera. Su Departamento de Salud del Condado de Livingston está organizando una clase de alimentación infantil, martes 23 de mayo, de las 11 a la 1 en la sala de clínica del Departamento de Salud. almuerzo y premios gratis ofrecido. La fecha límite de inscripción es el 22 de mayo. Llame o envíe un mensaje de texto al 585-243-7299, financiado por el Departamento de Salud de Nueva York.
What did the Civil War mean to New York State? Genesee Country Village and Museum takes you back with Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass.
Okay, last spot.
Civil War Living History Weekend this Saturday and Sunday, Genesee Country Village and Museum. Tickets at gcv.org.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes, indeed. It is Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. 585-346-3000 is the number to chat with me. And we've been talking about how to fix the MTA, how to fix congestion issues in New York City, because we don't want the city to collapse. Even if you live here or not, you don't want it to collapse because the repercussions come out to you too. Doesn't matter. Speaking of coming out to Long Island, I have a Roger on the phone from Nassau County. Roger, how are you, sir?
Great. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, because I got the AC in the background. That's why.
No worries.
It's coming along. So here's the thing. You could blame the TLC for this because they're the ones. New York City Taxi Limousine Commission.
Yep.
They're the ones that let this happen. Okay. When I first started driving Uber in the city, right? 1 out of every 5 license plate was a TLC license plate. Then 5 years later, 1 out of every 5 license plate was a regular license plate. Okay.
Wow.
So Uber has been creating traffic jams at the airports and at all these places. So it got so out of hand that it's like, oh my God, your former mayor de Blasio is like, what am I going to do? So they're trying to do a fix to a problem that they let get out of hand. So the TLC.
Wait a minute, hold on, Roger. Are you saying government's trying to fix a problem that government created? I've never heard that before.
It's not that they created it; they let it happen.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'll let that go. Okay, it's fine.
So here's the thing. You're supposed to, so let me give you an example. Out here in the suburbs, when I drove taxis, each village, every other village has a certain amount of medallions that they let out. They can't have too many medallions because no driver would make any money. You see what I'm saying? Right. So they have to put a cap on how many they let on the road, okay? The TLC never did that with all the Ubers. Okay, so now what happens is once you have all these Ubers all over the place, right? Now it's just like, oh my God, these guys are creating traffic jams. Okay, but you should have told.
Hold on, Roger, we're not going to agree on this one at all here. On this one, we're not going to agree at all. What the medallion system has done is it has basically punished immigrant families. That's what it's done, because once government limits the medallions, now people buy medallions as investments. They've just turned the medallion concept into an investment concept. So now people buy and sell and mortgage medallions to where now if you have a medallion, you're in debt. There is literally a problem in New York with taxi drivers who have medallions killing themselves because they can't make enough money to pay their mortgages on the medallions.
Right. But that's because. So you know that like Uber doesn't use medallions; they use some sticker or whatever the case is.
Yep.
But that's because they let so many Uber drivers on the road that it decreased the value of the medallions. You see, of the taxi medallions. You see what I'm saying? If they would have been like, okay, like that's enough. You know what I mean? I mean they capped it now, but it's too late. But if they would have just stopped letting so many Uber cars on the road, okay, then the yellow taxi cabs would have still been able to rock, okay?
But there's a bigger issue here. And the issue is the city doesn't want to make things better. It just wants to copy things. Taxis were terrible. I remember when I was a kid, and I don't know if we're a similar age, Roger, but I remember when I was a kid in the Bronx, taxis didn't come to my neighborhood. We had gypsy cabs back then because taxis wouldn't come. Taxis were terrible. Now there's Uber. Taxis still were bad even 20 years ago. Rude, nasty, smelly, terrible. Uber
didn't want to pick up black people.
Made taxis better.
Understood. Understood. But hey, I was just talking about the congestion part. why it came up? Why there's congestion pricing now?
Yep.
Because there's now congestion because of TLC let so many taxis on the
I think you're right. I think the TLC has made a lot of mistakes, and I think it's because they just thought they could sit back and keep making money. I think they thought they were comfy and they could just start making cash. What I think we need to be focusing on is having a better MTA system that doesn't punish the working poor and the middle class, and that actually it wants to be used by working poor and middle class. Right now, the working poor have to use the subway. I'd like them to want to use it. The middle class tends to use subway and or bus and or Uber when they can because they don't want to be on the subway. I'd like them to want to be on the subway. I think we can do it as long as we find a good answer. And I came up with my answer. And if people think my answer is wrong, I'm okay with that. I'm ready to go back and forth with that conversation, but I'm not okay to just say use government hammer.
So let's talk about that, the infrastructure project. I'm not really cool with privatizing our infrastructure with Google and all that different type of stuff. But this is where a public bank can step in, okay? Because its prime directive is infrastructure. So what it does is,
I'll buy this too. Well, I want to be clear. My plan doesn't privatize. The MTA is still owned by the city. It's just leased to it is leased to these companies. If they screw up, do something wrong, they can lose the lease. So it is still owned by the city, just for clarity. So I want to make sure that part was clear. Keep going.
Okay, so I don't believe in corporate government partnerships either. Cooperative government partnerships, that's another thing. So if we could make Google a cooperative, okay. But anyway, so like a public bank would take in tax deposits, and you know what banks do? They take in a deposit and they mark it up and then issue out lines of credit. So a public bank would issue out lines of credit with its prime directive to finance infrastructure projects, which creates jobs in construction, which generates new state income taxes, which gets redeposited as a payback to the loan that was used by the public bank to create their job. It gets redeposited into the public bank while the low interest slides over to the Treasury or Department of State Taxation or whatever.
I'll go one step further. I'll go one step further than you're talking about, Roger. What if the public bank, as it builds out infrastructure, the public bank retains some of the ownership of the infrastructure? Since it's a public bank, it's owned by the city or the state. So that it now has actual assets that it can borrow against if it needs to, or even use, to repair and such, that it owns itself.
No, that's what a public bank does.
Yes.
So you're already there.
Public banks don't always own what they invest in. It depends upon the situation. They may or may not. I'm saying in this case, we could have them actually own it.
Okay, I'm down with that, definitely.
There we go.
And
look at this, Roger. Me and you spending 5 minutes on the radio are coming up with ways to fix infrastructure, but the people who run New York City and New York State can't figure it out after decades.
Which is why we need to be a citizen ballot initiative state.
We're on board. We're on the same page in that one. We're on the same page, 100%. Roger, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
Oh, okay. I have no doubt.
You have something to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No. I want to be able to register people no party at some of your events.
Okay, reach out to me via Twitter. We'll make it happen. I'm in.
Okay, cool. I'll tell Lucy.
Perfect. All righty.
All right.
Thanks for the call. So look, whether you are listening and saying, I like Roger's idea, or I like Larry's idea, or don't like any idea. Regardless, we're just sitting here on a radio station in Rochester, New York, with people from California, Long Island, Rochester, having a conversation about an outcome that we want. And we're actually coming up with real answers, real ideas, and a serious conversation. Why can't our leaders do that? Because they're so busy trying to fight each other and grift off the system that they won't even find an answer. Did anybody disagree with the problems that we all brought up here? Keith brought up problems. Hunter brought up problems. Roger brought up problems. I brought up problems. We all brought up answers. It was an actual conversation on a radio station out of Rochester, New York. And the people in Albany just yelled at each other and just find ways to control. And not just that, we don't always agree. Keith and I don't always agree. Roger and I don't always agree. They call the show often, but we don't always agree. But we always have conversations. We always talk and respect each other. I always respect what Keith says. I respect what Roger says. I hope they respect what I say. I'm assuming they do, right? Either way. But we're having conversations, and that's more important. Let me grab a chat. I've been ignoring the chat. I apologize. Let me grab a couple of these. Joe says, $13 to cross a bridge. You're joking. No, I think the Verrazano now is 15 or 18. Yes, one way to cross a bridge. We have to break this. The working poor and the middle class can't afford this, Joe, and that's the problem. Patricia says, surveillance society. See, this is my other issue. Patricia, perfect. Patty, thank you for that. Yes, how are they going to enforce people going into the congestion zone? Somehow through surveillance, cameras or cops or some combination. That is a bad idea. I don't want that. Joseph brings up, how does it work if you live in Manhattan and you go home to Long Island? You get a break. Supposedly, this is literally going to go right into what Patty's talking about. Supposedly, if you go into the city 10 times or more during the month, you get a discount. How are they going to know who goes in 10 times a month? How are they going to know who gets a discount? Yeah, that's exactly right. Tim says the answer for cities is to move out. Thanks, Tim. He then says, hi, Larry. Yeah, that's the problem. Hey, Tim, keep talking trash. Where do you think the city people are going to go? Your backyard, my friend. They're coming to you. Don't think they're just going to go someplace else. They're coming to you. It's not as easy as you might think. So actually very funny, though. Larry Sharpe here on WYSL, Rochester, New York. 585-346-3000 is the number. I'll be back with your calls and, of course, your chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology.
Hey, Larry, an old saying came to mind when you were talking to Roger. The legislators are so far in the forest they can't see the trees.
Their preventative maintenance.
Remember that old saying?
Your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Don't hate your home. Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy. The Energy Star Contractor of the Year, Wise Home Energy would like to thank our clients and employees for this prestigious award. For the 6th year in a row, thank you for choosing Wise Home Energy for solving your ice issues, improving hot and cold rooms, and reducing high energy bills. So don't hate your home. Pick up the phone and call Wise Home Energy at 585-270-5836 today.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families. Try something different in 2023. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience, entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Oh, yes, it is me, Larry Sharpe, here on WYSL in Rochester, New York. Sharpe Way Radio. I am still here. I know some of you are like, will that guy ever go away? Maybe. I don't know. But I'm here for a while at least. Some of you have been listening to me yap in some way, shape, or form for now about what? 5 years now? 6? I started my first governor campaign July of 2017. And I've been crossing this state and yapping like there's no tomorrow. Yes, been doing it like there's, yes, all over the place. And I'm coming out into the Western New York area, by the way, this weekend. This weekend, I'm heading out. I will be in Chautauqua County, Cattaraugus County, Erie County, Livingston, Wyoming, I think Steuben also. So I'm doing a little Western New York tour this weekend. If you care, please head to either my Facebook page or head over to my YouTube, not my YouTube page, or my website, LarrySharpe.com, or Larry Sharpe on Facebook, and you can see all the places I'm going. So if you can come out there, if you're in Western New York, you can be in the area, please come visit me. Come say hi. I do not do what most politicians do. I'm just an activist now. I'm not running for anything, so I'm not a politician anymore. Maybe one day. But right now, I'm just an activist running around. I'm not going from fundraiser to fundraiser to fundraiser. I am going from local shop to local shop to local shop. I am very often in diners, gun clubs, vape shops, places like that. Why? Because I do care. As I joke all the time about New York State. I do joke a lot, I know. But I actually do care. And I show up in local places to support local businesses all the time. You don't have to pay $1,000 to come to one of my events. I mean, if you want to give me $1,000, I will take your money, but not required. I would like you to come to one of my events, buy a soda or a beer or something, sit down and have a chat, support a local business, and spend some time asking me or talking to me with any question you might have. I'm actually more open than you might imagine. And I'll even take criticism. I even get yelled at every once in a while. It's totally fine. I don't mind. But I actually visit every single county every single year. I call it the full Sharpe. This is my 6th time doing it. Yes, my 6th full Sharpe. I'm in the middle of it. I think I have my 17 to 18 stops coming up here this weekend. So I hope I can see you there. It'd be amazing. So thank you for the little plug. Patty, she says, civil discussion among adults is very rare, but it can happen. You prove it every show. Oh, thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. I am trying, Patty, as I think you know, there's no way for us to fix this state if we can't talk to each other. And the saddest part that I've said many times, but I'll keep saying, New York is a beautiful, wonderful state. Everything you could imagine is here for you to enjoy. Seasons are here, lakes, rivers, mountains, skiing, Broadway, classical music, the New York Yankees, the Buffalo Bills, whatever you could imagine is here in this state. And people are leaving. Not because the state isn't amazing, because the government is such a steaming pile of trash that it's so broken and so oppressive that it literally breaks up families. That is what I can't stand. You fix this state. We fix this state, and we will have an amazing state that will easily hold, I'm not even joking, 30 million people. Easily. All of our cities are losing population, and they shouldn't be. All of our small towns are being devastated, and they shouldn't be. We can fix this with just the right ideas and the right policies. It can be repaired. We have a broken system, and that's why I keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm yapping away, I know, I apologize. But I'm doing it because people are talking about it. So I do think about it. And I want you to understand Why do I keep doing this? Why don't I stop? Why don't I just go away? Because I care. I know it sounds so cheesy. It sounds almost cringe, but it's true, right? It is true. And I hope that if you are still listening, I hope if you're still paying attention to what I'm doing, I hope you care too. I'm sure some of you are hate listening or hate watching. I'm sure some of you are, but I hope most of you are not, at least, and you actually do care and you do want things to happen. I do hope so. Valerie chimes in. She says, "Hey, Larry, boy, this state needs a fixin'. Yes, it's a great state, but New York government sucks." Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Valerie. I'm glad you're reading my mind. It's exactly what I think. I completely agree. But let me now move, if I could, to Jersey. So I'm on New York a lot. Talk about Jersey a little bit. Why? Jersey is actually trying to stop us from doing the congestion pricing. I'm sorry, the Jersey government is actually trying to stop us from doing congestion pricing. Why would it matter? Well, they had to go to the federal government. Why does it matter? Because bridges that touch Manhattan, which are affected by the congestion pricing, and tunnels go across New Jersey. It becomes interstate. So the federal government has to be involved. So that the Biden administration had to say yes to this. And of course it did. Like you would think it wouldn't. Wait, a way of punishing people to get more money? Of course the Biden administration totally on board. Yeah, do that. Perfect. Well, there's some New Jersey people like, don't do it. Stop it. It's going to affect our people. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of businesses in New Jersey who are happy, like, please. Because Jersey's also a disaster. It's just not as bad as we are. So it's bad, but on the horribleometer, I just made that up. The horribleometer? We'll call it the horribleometer. On the horribleometer, it's lower than we are on that, on a terribleometer. So they're like, great, you guys can be even worse. This way, as bad as we are, we'll look a whole lot better because you guys just keep getting worse. And sadly, New Jersey's right. As bad as Jersey is, and it is bad, New York just keeps getting worse. And people move to Jersey. You might say to yourself, Larry, everyone in New York is moving to Florida. It's not true. A lot of people are. Florida is the top 3. But also in the top 3 is New Jersey. People move to New Jersey because they love what the city has to offer. They love the culture I talked about. They love the fun things that I talked about. They love that stuff. That's why they live here. So they move to Jersey and think, well, you know what? Jersey's not as bad. I'll move there. And then I can still get a piece of New York City when I want it. See? Then they realize, oh, damn, Jersey also sucks. And then they pack up and go to Florida. So they either go directly to Florida or they take a New Jersey detour and then go to Florida. And Jersey knows that. So they want all the detours they possibly can have. And sadly, we are going out of our way to make that happen. When I saw those billboards, I was blown away. Billboards that actually say, why do you live in New York City when you can live here in Jersey? Why is your business in New York when it should be in Jersey? And I know people are saying, man, he's right. Just when we are trying our best to recover from the self-inflicted wound that was the lockdowns, from those self-inflicted wounds we're trying to repair, we're literally reopening the wounds and creating more. I don't know why we keep doing it. It drives me crazy. I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall sometimes. But I keep trying, guys. And I want to say thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.